Welcome to the Earth System Governance Network Early Career Researchers podcast. I'm Cebuan Bliss, one of the coordinators of the ECR committee. Today, I'm joined by Susan Park, who is Professor of Global Governance and International Relations at the University of Sydney. And she's our keynote speaker at the Early Career Researchers event at the Earth System Governance Conference at Radboud University in Nijmegen next month. So thank you for speaking to me today, Susan. We'll get started. What was life like for you as an ECR?
Thanks. It's great to be here, Sebi, and just wonderful to be able to talk to you on this podcast. Well, I've got to say I was very naive as an early career researcher and as a PhD student. I really had no idea how the system worked. I had no one I knew that had done a PhD. Nobody in my family had done a PhD. So I just sort of fell into it, if you like. I really liked researching and I wanted to keep doing it. And I'm very, very lucky at that period of time that there were jobs available, good jobs with permanent, or, well, we don't have tenure, but continuing jobs, as we say here in Australia. So that was just sort of a feeling the stones as I went over them, as the Chinese say. Just learning how or what I should be doing and just listening and absorbing from what recommendations people were giving me. And a lot of that was really around thinking about grants and how to get grants and what I should be applying for and where I should be going and what I should be doing. So I had some really fantastic mentors and also some really super clued in and helpful peers. I think that's really crucial. And this is why the ECR network that you've got is just so important.
Yeah, thank you. It's really good to meet our peers and be supported in our research. And as we're talking about the conference which is coming up, how do you prepare yourself to attend international conferences?
Great question. Particularly if you're like me, you're coming from a long way away, so you're going to be there for the whole conference. I really do think you should read the program. It sounds really sort of straightforward and probably you assume that everyone does, but there's a lot of opportunities around conferences. So really taking advantage of what's on offer. So I take quite a guerrilla approach to conferencing now, and it's sort of something I've picked up along the way. So to identify right from the get-go, read the program, read what side events are on. So the ECR Day, for example. I know you've got the Global South Day as well. So thinking about what sort of connections you want to make in terms of the peers and research that you're doing. I go through the program panel by panel to see if there's a particular panel I don't want to miss, because it can be overwhelming. There are lots of competing panels that are on at the same time, and you might actually miss the one that is most relevant for your research. But also, if there aren't any slots where there are particular panels that you want to go to just randomly wander into one. The serendipity around conferences is absolutely amazing, because you can hear someone speak about something completely different from your own research, and it will trigger a train of thought that you had not ever anticipated before. And that is really exciting. So conferences, you should be pretty strategic in terms of going to the panels that are most relevant to your research, but also allow for that serendipity to occur. So that's really about the program and the types of events that are available to you. But we should also talk about the social stuff, because that can be really scary in some ways. Some people can be very anxious. Some people love to talk and love to make friends, and that's really fun and easy. But it can also be quite a challenge to navigate. So if you are able to, think of what sort of events you might want to attend. And the Earth Systems governance people are all lovely and friendly. So, don't in any way feel intimidated by attending, irrespective of where people are in their careers, everyone's really keen to try and solve the problems that we face today. So you'll find a lot of really fantastic people at this conference. But it really is just a matter of turning to the person next to you at the drinks and saying, what's your research on? And that's it. That's all you need to do. It's really nice. And I think my first Earth Systems Governance, I think it was 2014. So nearly 10 years that I've been going, and really just I've enjoyed it so much because not only the cutting edge research, but also just how nice and lovely people are. So that's a sort of, don't look for the most powerful person in the room. Don't try and hustle to line up the next job. You know, there is some of that that goes on. But honestly, like, people hear about your work and they like it. People hear about you from people that they've spoken to. You don't know like who's going to be offering you that job and why. So go in with your best foot forward, I guess.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that point of just going to sessions that maybe aren't your exact area of research and this moment of serendipity where this train of thought gets going. I've had so much inspiration from going to panels that are not exactly aligned with my research, and you also meet other interesting researchers. And finally, what advice would you give to your younger self about pursuing a career in research on transformations for sustainability, which is kind of what the ESG network is all about?
Really great question. I think it's a lot tougher, to be honest, for early career researchers now, which is also occurring when there are so many environmental problems that are getting worse and intersecting in ways that we didn't fully realize and we didn't fully expect to happen so soon. So we've got these sort of twin issues of the issues have never been more pressing, and the need for research on how we address them is, you know, absolutely critical, at the same time as people are really struggling to find positions to be able to do that research. So I think there's a big difference from when I went through to what people are facing today. So I guess one of the things that perhaps is much more fluid now than ever used to be the case is that you can do research in a variety of different contexts, and the academy is no longer closed, which means you can have a revolving door. You can go into industry, you can go into the government, you can come back, you can combine in ways that perhaps you didn't before. So I guess my sort of takeaway at this point would be to keep an open mind.
Yeah, keeping an open mind. We'll all bear that in mind at the conference next month, and we look forward to seeing you there in person or online. And thank you very much for giving your thoughts today for the podcast.
Thanks, Debbie. That was wonderful.